Hey, how's it going? I'm here in Spain. I'm in Barcelona. I planned on spending the day. I had this elaborate plan, not elaborate, but it was a long, like, circular route. And so once my day got shot, all that kind of went away. My day got shot because I signed in to double check my flights, make sure everything's good, see if there's, I need to book a seat or not. And I booked it, my flight, on points or with points and a little bit of cash through Alaska Airlines on Iberian Air. It's like a partner program. And this all comes down to respect, right? You know, that's why I'm so hot today. It's just a lack of respect. If you set the expectation for me of X, Y, and Z, and at the last minute you change that, of course I'm going to be unhappy, right? Why would I be happy about that? And especially at the last minute, you're pulling cash out of my pocket. You know, it just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense why a company would do that. And I really just get frustrated by this whole thing. And so it really just ruined my whole day. So let me continue with what happened. So I go in, I check the flight, and they say, no, you don't have a booked bag. Well, all along, Alaska's been saying I get one free check bag, not booked bag, check bag. Website still says I get one free check bag. So I go through the whole rigmarole, I have to read everything, you know, all those details you don't want to read. And then I call Iberian, and Iberian gives me the runaround, and I'm repeatedly asking simple, direct questions, and he's like talking to me about the weather on Mars. It's just the most ridiculous thing in the world. And then, you know, I call Alaska Airlines, and the gal is like, I'm gonna put you on hold, I have to take another call. Wait a second, you're putting me on hold. I told you I'm on my cell phone in Spain calling customer service in America, and you're putting me on hold to take another call? You're kidding me, right? But that's the customer service from Alaska Airlines. And then I go through the chat, and then, you know, I hit up their Instagram, I dropped a few comments, and, you know, the whole time they say, it's not us, it's not us, it's not us. No, it is Alaska Airlines. Alaska Airlines is the one who set the expectation that I'm paying for a checked bag, that I will have a checked bag, and then it doesn't matter beyond that. They set that expectation from the beginning, and that's what it's all about. You know, and then the disrespect of having to deal with that and trying to be gaslit while I'm on vacation. You know, and that's the thing that really got under my skin, is this gal sitting there telling me, well, it doesn't matter what it says in writing. It only matters that you have to pay for the bag now. It's not up to us. I know our website says you get a free bag, but, you know, it's not up to us. You actually have to pay for that bag now. It's like, what reality do you live in where what it says in writing doesn't matter? Like, that's a contract, right? It says, you know, I paid. You said, hey, you get this. You paid. This is what you get. And now they're saying, no, that's not what you get. And it wouldn't frustrate me so much, it wouldn't get under my skin so much if it weren't for that gaslighting. Even this guy on Instagram, you know, he wants to throw up their policy. It's like, hey, your policy is great, but me as a customer, where was I to reasonably expect that I might even have to possibly pay for that bag? There's nowhere on the, you know, when you punch in, and I screenshotted it, I did a screen recording so you can scroll the whole thing. And there's nowhere in there where anybody would even reasonably think I have to pay for a bag. Because even when you open the baggage policy, it says right there, free bag. It says under Iberian Air, free bag. And so I don't mind paying for good service, right? I routinely spend out of my budget to go someplace very nice or do something very nice, go to a special meal or, you know, an excursion or whatever. I routinely like play that up and down game, and I'm way okay with paying for service. What I don't like is feeling like I'm getting screwed. When you intentionally or unintentionally deceive someone, you create anger and you create hostility, because my experience, and me personally, I don't mind paying for good stuff. I don't mind paying for quality stuff. But when you tell me you're gonna give me something and then you don't give it to me for the set price, that is a problem. That is really bad. That is deceitful. That is, I mean, you can pick your adjective, right? None of them are good. And it just drives me nuts. The arrogance of these people to think it's acceptable and okay to saddle you with this issue when you're on vacation, when you're out and about, when you're out doing things. It's not like a normal Tuesday where I've got nothing better to do at the house, right? I'm in Barcelona. I spent all morning, you know, dealing with this, a couple hours in the afternoon trying to calm down, and then I had to go back at it this evening. You know, and the answer is definitive now. You know, I got the chat from the gal and I was like, look, you know, this is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. And, you know, when I get home to America, I'm going to take you to court. And I'm going to follow through on that. You know, I've never taken anyone to court. I've threatened it a few times. And usually, you know, people feel the seriousness in your voice or your communications. And, you know, I don't go out of my way to screw people. I don't go out of my way to be angry or mad. But I don't like people trying to screw me over. I don't like people cheating me. If you're a taxi driver and, you know, you want to cheat me, you know, go ahead, try, right? I was in Albania. I'm not going to drop the name of the city, but Albania, I got so comfortable with the honesty of people. You know, people that didn't know English, I'd usually just hold out a handful of money and they'd pick out what they needed and, you know, super nice and kind about it. But I got in such a bad habit of that. So I get in this taxi and, you know, we used the map and I kind of showed him where I wanted to go, and he got me where I wanted to go. And then I'm asking how much, and he's like, you know, no English at all, right? And I don't speak Albanian. And so I just held out some money, and he grabbed the bill. I had a bill and a couple coins, and he grabbed the bill and just said, you know, Valmaderic, thank you. And it was funny because I know the ride should have only been a third of that, but it was, you know, he was a nice guy, and it just taught me, you know, with him, because I was in that city a couple of weeks, with him, I'll never, you know, do that again. And the really funny thing about that is the coffee shop where he picked me up, I ordered a coffee and a water, and a big coffee and a water. And the prices of coffee varies a lot in Albania. And so I was expecting, you know, at the most 200 lek, but he says 5. So I thought he meant 500 lek, and I've paid 5. I've even paid 700 lek for a big coffee, depending on where you're at. And this is right by this festival. And so, you know, it was high, but I'm like, okay, you know, I just won't come back here, right? And so I hold out the, you know, a 500, and he sees some coins in my hand, and he's like, no, and he reaches over to my other hand and grabs 50. 50 lek is 50 cents. And that's the level of honesty, you know, I've become so accustomed with in Albania. And so it's really funny, you know, going out, you know, into the real world again with real prices and people that want to screw you so bad. And there's people in Albania, you know, will try and take advantage of you. You know, a good example is a ride that would be like, in Triana, they use meters. Like most of the cabs use meters. If they're not using a meter, don't get in it. But there's a minimum charge, right? And then the minimum charge, you know, when they're driving, it'll finally start, the meter will start rolling. And so I was in Saranda, and I asked a taxi driver about how much to go from here to there, from the bus to the port. And he wanted, well, I got a lot of numbers. This particular time, he wanted 20 euro to go from the bus station to the port, because I had a big bag. It was hot, I didn't want to carry it. And he's like, 20 euros. That would be about half of the minimum charge in Tirana, which would be 3 euros or 300 lek. but he wanted 20 euros to go, you know, that far, which would be about half the minimum charge. I just laughed and just, you know, grabbed my bag and said, nope, I'll walk. Because it, you know, maybe 1.5 kilometers to go from the bus to the port. Maybe, probably more like, yeah, maybe 1.5 kilometers. And, you know, you're not going to pay 20 euros for that, even with a bag. You'll just walk it. But, so there are people like that everywhere. You know, and Albania is not free of it, but for the most part, it's so safe and honest. You know, it lulls you into that comfort zone where you just, you know, trust people. But back to this whole thing with Alaska Air, it's just, you know, there's nowhere in there where I did anything to set the expectation. The expectation was set in writing, and they failed to deliver. You know, another good example is Wizz Air. I've been hitting a string of this the last week, and I think that may be partly why I'm so frustrated too. But, you know, Wizz Air, they have this whole priority thing. And if you're priority on the website, you know, they're supposed to check you first and then put you on the plane before anybody who doesn't pay for priority. It has to do with, like, you know, getting your overhead, bags in the overhead, because, you know, Wizz Air a lot of times will, they're very, well, they're not even strict. It depends on where you're at. Some Wizz Airs will, when you check in, they'll be very strict. Others, you know, they don't even care. They don't even look. You know, I watch people go through 5, 6 bags. They don't care. Other places you go through with one bag that's, you know, 1 centimeter too big, and they're charging you. But the priority air thing is a joke, right? It's a total, utter joke. And I was a little frustrated in Triana leaving out of there, because you get in the priority line and the guy checking you in for the priority, he's just slow, and he's busy like doing this, looking around, doing this, and then he just walks away. And the other gal doing the regular line is going faster. I'm like, shit, I should have gotten the regular line. I'd go through faster. You know, I had to, ended up with priority because I had a carry-on and a check bag. But, you know, I had a carry-on and then a backpack, and so I wanted to make sure the backpack gets put up, because I was in the window seat. So when you're in the window seat, you don't get a lot of space for your feet under the seat in front of you on the smaller planes. So I really wanted to make sure my backpack got put in the overhead. And, you know, normally I really don't care when you get on the plane, but it's just annoying being told X, Y, and Z and given A, B, and D. It's like, what the hell happened to C, right? But, so I kind of say something to this guy, because, I mean, he's going round and round. It was funny, too, because they stop at one point, both of them, doing the check-in process at the gate, and they count the cards, right? So they're sitting there counting cards, and her stack is bigger than his stack. So she's checked in more non-priority people, and then they put you out in this cattle car holding area outside, and you're sitting there, and, you know, he comes out, and I'm standing in the doorway because there's nowhere for me to move. And he comes out and he wants to hassle me, you know, and he's like, don't stand in the doorway. And I look at him, I'm like, well, you show me how to move. So he pushed 2 people forward and then realized the futility of it and left. But it was just the funniest thing, because it's like, what do you expect me to do? And so they're trying to push everybody to the left. And then they come out and say, okay, no, we're going to the right because we're going to go through that gate over there. And at that point, you know, I kind of lost it with the guy. I was nice enough, I guess. But I was like, look, you know, you're just screwing all these people that paid priority, because they only give you 100 priority. Only 100 people can pay for priority. And I'm like, you're intentionally screwing people, because he left the desk like 3 times that I saw, you know, and she's over there just like a machine. Like, she's an employee I would hire in a heartbeat. He's somebody I would fire instantly, right? But, and it's just awareness, right? If people need to be pushed, he should have. The funny thing about this, right? And this is what cracks me up the most about Wizz Air, is if Wizz Air really wanted to deliver on that promise, they'd have the priority line and the regular line, and then you open up the priority line and both people checking you, because there's always 2 at the gate, right? Checking you in through. So just back the entrances to the lines up just a tiny bit, and then both people check in all the priorities, and then you check in all the regulars. And then they would actually be delivering what they promised. But all those people who pay for priority, they get screwed out of the priority. And it's not a huge deal who gets on the plane first or last, right? But the fact is you're being sold a service, you're being sold something, and then denied it, intentionally denied it. Intentionally, no, we don't give a fuck about what, excuse me, we don't give a F about what we sold you. We're just going to do whatever the hell we want. You know, screw you. You're just the customer. You're just the person who got suckered into paying for this priority, and we don't really care to deliver it to you, even though it would be super easy, even though it would make, you know, a lot of sense, even though it's simple. We're just not going to, you know, do it. Why would we? We have no good reason to do it. And that's kind of the feeling I get with Alaska Air, is they had every opportunity to tell me before today, hey, you've got to pay for a check bag. Every opportunity. There is nothing on that website that even warns me to go look for paying for a check bag. When you dig down in there, I haven't found it yet, but I'm sure there's somewhere some sort of disclosure, because they've emailed me a couple different policy versions of their policy that, you know, baggage falls on the other carrier. And I don't care if it falls on the other carrier or not. I dealt with Alaska Airlines, and they said I get a free check bag. They didn't have a little star there that says may or may not apply to Iberian Air. They said Iberian Air, you get a free check bag. So I don't care, you know, what their policy says, because there's no reasonable way I would have found anything other than what I have found, which is says I get a free check bag. That's the only thing that you can reasonably find on their website, and that's all that really matters to me, because anything beyond that, they're just being deceitful. And I don't really have a better word for it. I don't like using that word, but I don't have a better word for it. I don't have a more PC or polite word, but it's just being deceitful. And the fact that you're going to drop this on somebody at the last minute is just disrespectful. And the run around on the phone and I'm going to put you on hold so I can take this other call. Wait, what do you mean? I've never had that happen to me on customer service call. And I've had some pretty bad customer service calls. I mean, I've even had people hang up on me, and you call them back. No, I didn't hang up on you. It's like, yeah, I think you did. And, you know, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I don't understand why a company would spend money on advertising and saying, we listen, and then say, oh, by the way, we don't really care that we deceived you. We don't really care that we misled you. We don't really care that we're gaslighting you. And I was kind of, you know, laughing at the guy on Instagram who messaged me back after I dropped a few comments. And, you know, it's like, hey, you know, it's not like I travel very often. It's not like I talk to people. It's not like, you know, I'm not going to tell this story for the next 10 years. And, you know, you can advertise and all you want, but you create enough people like me out here telling the story, and, you know, it may or may not affect your bottom line. But, you know, it's definitely going to affect my opinion of Alaska Air. And, you know, I'll probably end up, to be frank, you know, after this incident, I'll probably end up, you know, canceling the credit card too. It's like, screw them. You know, if you're going to treat me this way, I have enough respect to say, I don't need you. I can find a business that will treat me with respect. I can find businesses all over the world that will treat me with respect. If you're going to be this disrespectful to me when I'm on vacation, cost me time, peace of mind, and, you know, just be a pain in the butt, why would I ever go back to you? I'll go back to you when I absolutely have to, when you're the only option. But I don't need to carry your credit card in my wallet. I don't need to collect your points. I don't need to pay attention to you. And I definitely don't need your emails spamming my inbox with bullshit like buy our points. buying points, you know, might make sense to somebody, but you know, when you go to that little points guy, I think it was a points guy, and he outlines how much points are worth from different places, and then you look at the points Alaska Airlines selling you, they're selling them at like 2x what he says they're worth. And that's the funniest thing, right? Oh, we're giving you this deal on points. But if you go look at how much the points are actually worth financially, the math doesn't work out. The math is saying, screw you. But you know, if you're 1,000 points shy of a flight, it might make sense, or whatever the numbers are, right? Might make sense for you to pick up a few points, but it just kind of cracks me up that the decision-making process is broken down so far that they're going to say, screw you to customers. But hey, gave me some content for a video, and it'll give me a funny story. As I refine that story over the next 10 years, I'll find a way to make people laugh. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.